Part 24. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 234. As for the bandits under his command, let them escape as many as they can. However, his decision seemed wise, but in fact it was extremely stupid. Seeing the bandits turning back and leaving, Gong Kai immediately ordered the archers to shoot quickly, because the bandits would soon be out of their attack range. And Ayub, who rushed down the hill, had turned his horse's head and charged towards the position in front of Li Jiangguo in advance. The most critical thing was Li Jiangguo. He looked at the bandits rushing from the heights, and under the cover of arrow feathers, there were only more than 300 people left. Aim all the bronze spears at the leaders of the bandits. Yes. Seeing the crossbow cart on the opposite side, Good adjusted the angle, his heart pounding, as if he sensed a hint of danger. However, at this time, it was in the acceleration stage of the downhill charge, and it was difficult to make adjustments. At the same time, he also saw Ayub rushing from the side, and his soul was even more scared. My life is over. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The bronze spears were shot out, each of which could cause 2,000 points of damage. Even with defense to reduce damage, the amount of damage was still terrifyingly high. In just one round of attack, the 6 horse bandit leaders died on the spot. Good was also pierced by 3 spears and fell off his horse. Just as the remaining horse bandits were about to rush to the crossbow camp position, Ayub's golden fire cavalry also rushed into the horse bandits. It was like a hot pot meeting cold oil. It melted like snowflakes. The powerful charge of the heavy cavalry directly knocked countless horse bandits away. This time it was a plain charge, and the speed of the heavy cavalry was maximized. The horse bandits suffered heavy casualties. There were only dozens of horse bandits still on horseback. Surrender and no killing. Surrender and no killing. The Red Flame Army shouted loudly, and the horse bandits standing there were a little at a loss for a while. Seeing the bronze crossbow cart in front, loading spears again, and Ayub also jumped and turned his horse's head. The remaining horse bandits collapsed. I surrender, I surrender. In this battle, the Red Flame Army won a great victory. You won the battle with Pegasus Village at a small cost. Won a village territory reputation add 200. Your command value add 5. Your subordinates, command value add 2. Your subordinates, level up. A series of system prompts sounded. Wang Shuo was not surprised. Wang Shuo rode from the hill to Good and pulled out the spear from his body. This strong man actually gritted his teeth and didn't make a single cry. Although Wang Shuo had not experienced the pain of the spear piercing his body, he could imagine it. Wang Shuo couldn't help but look at him again. Wang Shuo ordered people to treat his injuries, and Good did not refuse. Are you willing to submit to me? Good turned his head away stubbornly. You are a defeated general, don't even think about making me surrender. Wang Shuo really wanted to be talented. After all, the other party was a senior general. The 3 strongest fighters in Wana village could only tie with him at most. Wang Shuo really wanted to get his loyalty. Seeing the other party's unconvinced look, Wang Shuo did not give up. He took him back first and talked about it later. Clean up the battlefield, Wang Shuo said to everyone. The soldiers began to take prisoners and clean up the battlefield. Soon, Zhou Yuanjia came over and said to Wang Shuo, Lord, in this battle, we lost 30 Black Mountain bandits and 40 shield soldiers. A total of 812 horse bandits were destroyed, including 340 prisoners, and 600 horses were confiscated. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 235. Wang Shuo looked at the captives. Most of them were injured, and many of them had horse footprints on their bodies. Fortunately, there were game attributes, otherwise these seriously injured horse bandits would definitely not survive. This is the spoils of this battle. Zhou Yuanjia handed 2 backpacks to Wang Shuo. Proof of military officer transfer add 6, taunt skill book add 1, intimidation skill book add 1. In addition, there are a large number of soul crystals and energy crystals, various weapons and armor. Although there are no fine products, they are iron products after all. After smelting them back, you can also get iron ingots. Wang Shuo put away these items with satisfaction. He directly let Gong Zheng learn the taunt skill book. And the intimidation skill book was handed over to Ayub. Then, let Gong Zheng lead a large force to escort the captives back to the village, while he and Ayub, with the cavalry, went to the Pegasus camp to collect the spoils of the camp. Not long after walking, they arrived at the camp. After destroying the core of the territory, they also got a lot of supplies. Silver village building order add 1, bronze copper mine add 2,000, iron ore add 5,000, rice add 10,000. Fiima village constantly oppresses nearby villages, and the materials are very rich, but all of this is cheap for Wang Shuo. After returning to the territory, it is still the old rules: let the surrendered horse bandits join Wana village, and those who are unwilling to surrender will be killed directly. But Good made Wang Shuo feel troubled. As a last resort, Wang Shuo had to build a cell and imprison him. Good, what do you want to do to surrender to me? In the newly built cell, Good's hands and feet were chained. Humph. Good looked arrogant and didn't say anything like killing me. It can be seen that he has a higher degree of soul awakening than the boss of Kingmu village. It also makes him cherish life more. For the surrendered horse bandits, Wang Shuo plans to set up a Bao cavalry, and is in need of a general. If this Good surrenders, it will be great. That's why Wang Shuo persuaded him patiently. Seeing that Good didn't give in, Wang Shuo turned and left the cell. Wang Shuo returned to the meeting room and asked Zhou Yuanjia and the civil servants of the territory to come to the meeting room to discuss matters. In fact, there were only Duan Wengzi, Suo Yang, and Zhou Yuanjia. After they sat down, Wang Shuo saw that there was no one to serve tea, so he asked Duan Wengzi to select one person from the tools to be responsible for cleaning the Lord's mansion. Today, I asked you guys to come here mainly to discuss the development of the territory. With the increase in population, the area within the city wall is becoming less and less, mainly because several barracks occupy too much area. Duan Wengzi, how many people are there in the territory now? Boss, there are now 100 or 200 people joining the village every day, and the number is almost 5,000. Wang Shuo is now very entangled, whether to expand the area of the village. Because if the city wall is expanded outward, when the undead army attacks, the pressure of defense will inevitably increase. Wang Shuo told several people about this concern. What do you think? Zhou Yuanjia waved his feather fan, touched his newly grown beard, and said slowly, Lord, do you know the scale of the undead army? Wang Shuo thought about it. The scale of the undead outside the Black Dragon City was simply despairing, but this time, it shouldn't be so terrible. After all the lords now are only the size of a village. If the undead army is so powerful, no lord can resist it. Lord Zak will never let the strength of the undead be too strong. Combined with the ancient battlefield, Wang Shuo made a judgment in his heart and pondered, it is impossible to estimate for the time being, but the number is definitely not small. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 236. Lord, there are still more than 20 days before the undead army attacks. It is enough for us to build the new city wall. In addition, in the past month, the population of the territory will definitely increase tremendously. Suo Yang said seriously. Wang Shuo then thought about it. He had planned to attack Nanshanji in half a month. Will the population still be a problem by then? Lord, I think our city wall should be built stronger. This will enhance the defensive strength. Simply reducing the defensive area is not the best option. After weighing the pros and cons, Wang Shuo finally decided to build the city wall again on a large scale. Okay, then we will build a village to the size of a small town. Once we have the heart of the town, we will upgrade the town in one step. Yes, Lord, boss. After having the preliminary plan, Wang Shuo called Yan Fuja over and left him in charge of the construction of the city wall. Yan Fuja was even more talented than Wang Shuo in making bronze city wall bricks. During this period, he has been in charge of the brick kill, and the firing of bronze city bricks has never stopped. How many bronze city bricks are there now? Wang Shuo looked at Yan Fuja with a smile. Back to the Lord, there are more than 1 million yuan now, Yan Fuja said with his hands in hand. Is that too much? Wang Shuo had a look of surprise on his face. After thinking about it, it was almost done. It has been more than 10 days since the current city wall was built. As the population of the territory increased, the number of masons also increased. The production of 100,000 bricks per day was not a lot. Wang Shuo immediately went to inspect the brick kiln. At this time, the soil on the surface has basically been exposed. Underground. They are collecting soil and building underground shelters at the same time. Wang Shuo nodded with satisfaction. Whose idea was this? The three of them were a little unsure about Wang Shuo's attitude. Duan Wengzi said anxiously, "Boss, Lao Yan discussed this matter with us. At that time, you were busy leading the troops to fight, so we made the decision on our own." Well, you did a great job. Wang Shuo said with a smile. The creativity of players is much better than that of tool people. If a brainless tool man was found to take charge of this matter, a huge hole would have appeared in Wang Shuo's territory. After all, 1 million bricks would require as much soil as a hill. 500,000 bricks were used to build the previous city wall. If you want to build a city wall on the scale of a small town, the city wall bricks used will probably cost about 3 million. It is indeed a difficult project. Wang Shuo handed over the construction of the city wall to Yan Fuja. The production of city wall bricks cannot stop, the more the better. Wang Shuo patted Yan Fuja on the shoulder and said. He also hopes that the city wall brick can bring a lot of revenue to the territory. Now Wang Shuo also has a trump card product that can sell well, and that is the Necromancer Pearl. After continuous research, Wang Shuo has now been able to completely produce it, but it is a bit time-consuming and laborious. Wang Shuo planned to leave the unimportant processes to others. In this way, the production efficiency will inevitably be greatly improved. Just as he was told, he directly asked Duan Wengzi to select dozens of citizens and process the gloomy wood into the prototype of the necromantic pearl according to the requirements. Several more citizens were selected to learn how to draw the basic death soul gathering formation. Of course, Wang Shuo did not let them understand the most important core technology. In this way, you only need to perform the finishing touches and that's it. After everything in the territory has been arranged in an orderly manner, Wang Shuo planned to go to Nanshanji in person to explore the truth. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 237. Wang Shuo came to the cavalry camp and summoned several main subordinates. In the military tent, Wang Shuo looked at the members of the original Swift Scout team. Li Weiguo and Li Baoqiu were also transferred to military generals. Expand the army again and make up for the establishment. The command value of Aobu and Gongzheng is almost close to 40 points, and it is not a problem to command 400 people. Gongkai, Gongping, and Bailey Liang are less, only more than 20 points. But in order to attack Nanshanji next, the army must be expanded, and the number of people can only be supplemented first. Wang Shuo directly appointed Abu, Gongzheng, Gongping, Gongkai, Li Jiangguo, and Bailey Liang as commanders. 500-man battalions form a column, and the highest commander of a column is appointed as the commander. After more than 10 days of accumulation, 50 tool soldiers can be swiped out from the material exchange office every day, plus the people who led the people to join the army and the horse-banded prisoners. The Xian army has reached nearly 2,600 people. However, one-third of them are still in reserve, and their loyalty has not yet reached the standard. Wang Shuo asked all the commanders to step up training to prepare for the next battle. At the same time, let Li Weiguo temporarily take charge of the training of archers, and Li Baoqiu temporarily take charge of the training of shield soldiers. Abu is responsible for the military upgrade of the entire territory. After the arrangements were made, Wang Shuo asked Gongzheng and Gulji to accompany him and set off for Nanshanji. Before leaving, Wang Shuo thought about it and took Zhou Yuanjia with him. After I leave, you must build the territory well. When I return, it will be the time for the Red Flame Army to go on the expedition. Duan Wengzi and Abu nodded heavily. Duan Wengzi actually wanted to go with him to see the excitement, but was rejected by Wang Shuo. The territory must have one civil and one military person in charge, so that Wang Shuo can feel at ease. In order not to attract attention, Wang Shuo did not bring too many followers, and only asked Gongzheng to select 10 shield guards. Along the way, the crowd galloped on horseback, and an hour later, they arrived at Nanshanji. From a distance, Wang Shuo saw that Nanshanji was building fortifications. Wang Shuo felt bad. When Wang Shuo walked to the city gate, he found that the progress of the project was not fast. Most of the craftsmen were working slowly without putting in any effort. There were even some workers who had to do a simple mud mixing several times, and they had to stop to rest and recover their energy after working for a while. It can be seen that most of the wages were not paid in place. Wang Shuo walked into the city gate and the guards guarding the city questioned him. This was very different from before. When they came last time, they didn't care. But the 2 level 60 guards did not embarrass Wang Shuo and others. After a simple registration, they gave each of them a temporary pass token and collected a gold coin from each person. Wang Shuo was very surprised, but he didn't care because it was just some small money. When he came to the street, a bustling atmosphere came to his face. Since the refugees who did not join the village basically joined the nearby system town, the population of Nanshanji suddenly increased. Wang Shuo walked around and even went to the entrance of the Iron Sword Gate and the Wild Wolf Gang. The shops on the 3 streets of the whole town were open for business, and it looked very prosperous. Finally, Wang Shuo came to Chef Zhang's Fui restaurant again. Walking into the hall, I saw several decorative paintings hanging on the walls around, and the shop assistants also changed into new clothes, which improved a lot of grade. In the hall, there was a lot of noise, and many people were sitting, among which several tough-looking people were talking loudly. Congratulations, Brother Li, for successfully joining Mayor Lin's army. If you are going to be successful in the future, don't forget the friendship we had when we teamed up together to fight slimes. Brothers, when I gain a foothold in the military camp, I will definitely find a way to help you brothers. I still remember that it was Brother Zhang who gave me a bottle of life potion so that I could survive. I will never forget this life-saving grace. Come on, you and I are brothers, brothers for life, everything is in the wine. Lord Survival, my shelter in Crocodile territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 238. Wang Shuo directly asked the waiter to arrange a private room upstairs. Soon, the wine and food were served, and Chef Zhang also walked in after learning the news. Brother Wang, long time no see. How are you? Brother Chef, I haven't seen you for a few days. Your business is getting more and more popular. It's not as good as you big lords. Now you are famous in Nanshanji. The two exchanged polite words, and Wang Shuo picked up a piece of animal meat and took a bite. The meat is tender and delicious. Brother chef, can you introduce to me the current situation of Nanshan market? Wang Shuo raised his glass and looked at Chef Zhang. Chef Zhang put down the wine glass in his hand and said slowly, Brother Wang is unaware of something. The current situation in Nanshan market can be said to be quite complicated. Mayor Lin came out of nowhere and took over all the system forces. He also recruited players into the army and built fortifications. The development of Nanshanji is really changing with each passing day. It's just that the gang forces in Nanshanji are very dissatisfied. On the surface, they have surrendered to Mayor Lin, but secretly they have their own agendas. However, they had many conflicts in the first place, and now they just seem to be in harmony with each other. Wang Shuo raised his eyebrows and became interested. Speak to me carefully. The restaurant where Chef Zhang works has been visited by people of all kinds for a long time, and it is a good place to collect intelligence. Chef Zhang looked around and looked at Wang Shuo's men. Wang Shuo smiled and said, It doesn't matter. Chef Zhang then whispered, Some time ago, several gangs had a fierce battle outside the town, but no one could do anything to anyone, so they reached a secret agreement. As for what the agreement was, I don't know. Just like that, Nanshanji barely calmed down for a while, and then Lin Guanru, who claimed to be the mayor, appeared and summoned gang forces to enter the Lord's mansion. I don't know what was discussed. Nanshanji is under the jurisdiction of various forces and has developed rapidly. However, the taxes charged on our shops are a bit high. I heard that Nanshanji has opened a teleportation array. Does the chef know about this? Of course I know, but the cost of each teleportation is not low. It requires 10 gold coins. There are many people teleporting from other towns. I still have a few living here. Wang Shuo nodded non-committally. After coming out of Fui restaurant, Wang Shuo happened to meet Fan Chenyang on the street. This is really a narrow road for enemies. Hey, isn't this Lord Wang? I didn't expect you to dare to come to Nanshan Fair, Fan Chenyang said with a smile when he saw Wang Shuo coming over. Wang Shuo no longer looks down on this kind of thing. The other person is completely different from him. I didn't intend to pay attention to him, but the other party refused to let him go. Wang Shuo, I really didn't expect you to dare to come here. Once you reach our Iron Sword Sect's territory, I'm afraid you won't be able to go back. Gong Zheng immediately took a step forward and looked at Fan Chenyang with wide eyes, a fierce look on his face. What are you doing? Do you still want to act wild in Nanshanji? Fan Chenyang had a look of fear on his face. After all, there were more than 10 people in Wang Shuo's group, but he only had 5, and their levels and equipment were far behind. Wang Shuo just snorted contemptuously. Walking by Fan Chenyang, Wang Shuo glanced at him sideways, curled up the corners of his mouth slightly, and revealed a wicked smile. Fan Chenyang looked at Wang Shuo walking away, his heart suddenly broke out for no reason, and he was dripping with cold sweat. Wang Shuo walked on the street. An important purpose of this trip was to find a business partner with whom he could cooperate. Wang Shuo no longer plans to go to shopkeeper Li. This person is too timid, which makes Wang Shuo a little worried. After walking, we came to the system store. Wang Shuo felt happy and thought of a good idea. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 239. If all the strategic materials in the system store are purchased, I wonder if it will be helpful in the future attack on Nanshan Market. He walked in and took a look. After a careful browse, he couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. The barracks, kerosene, horse cards, and other materials inside have been taken off the shelves. Only food and some daily necessities are left, and the prices are very expensive, which makes Wang Shuo's idea of taking advantage of the loopholes fall through. As a last resort, Wang Shuo thought of the merchants teleported from other places as mentioned by Chef Zhang. It seems that he can only find them to see if they can cooperate. Back to Fui restaurant, Wang Shuo booked a few rooms. Find Chef Zhang, contact several merchants from other towns, and set up a banquet. I am Wang Shuo, the lord of Wana village. I wonder what your friends are called. In the box, Wang Shuo looked at the three people in front of him and introduced himself. I am Wang Jian from Wang's business in Changping County. I am Feng Wei from Feng's Chamber of Commerce in Luhe County. I am Lin En from Scarborough Market. The three introduced themselves. These people all belong to several newly emerging chambers of commerce, and their strength is comparable to that of Li Yukai's Li Chamber of Commerce. Moreover, they are more enterprising and enterprising. In this chaotic world, the faster they develop, the more opportunities they can seize. Everyone, I will get straight to the point. I have two kinds of materials here. Please take a look. Wang Shuo took out the bronze bricks and the dead spirit beads. The three of them took the things in their hands and looked at them carefully. Lord Wang, I don't know how many of these bronze bricks you have here. I am very interested in them. Wang Qian of Wang's Chamber of Commerce showed an excited look on his face after seeing them. This kind of brick is as important to the Lord as weapons and armor, and the market prospects are very broad. I am also very interested. The other two people saw this and hurriedly said. Wang Shuo smiled mysteriously. At present, 100,000 bronze bricks can be supplied every day, and the daily supply will increase in the future. After hearing this, the three asked, how do you plan to sell them, Lord Wang? Wang Shuo thought for a while, narrowed his eyes, and said slowly, have you seen this kind of bricks in other villages and places? Several people shook their heads. They had only seen this kind of bricks on the walls of the system town. They had never seen such bricks being sold on the market. This business must be very popular. Wang Shuo nodded with satisfaction and said with a smile, you also know that this is a unique business at present. Those ambitious lords must be very fond of this high-grade building material. As he said this, he stretched out an index finger. 1 silver coin. Wang Shuo frowned. They were really a group of people who had never seen the world. 1 gold coin. Lin En asked tentatively. He was a little unsure. Wang Shuo nodded and said, this is the cost price. You decide how much to sell it for. Considering the purchasing power of most lords, Wang Shuo did not want to set the price too high. If he could not build a city wall even if he spent all his money, then the bricks would not have much value. To build a village-sized city wall, it only needs 500,000 gold coins, which is about it. Most lords should be able to afford 50,000 energy crystals. Even if these merchants doubled the price, it would not be a big problem. There are always some lords who have the strength. If you don't have this strength, there is no need to struggle under the ravages of the undead army. It is the best policy to surrender to others as soon as possible. Aren't you interested in this dead spirit bead? Wang Shuo was a little surprised. This thing is a life-saving item in the future. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 240. Then how does Lord Wang plan to sell this thing? 10 energy crystals. Several people smiled and shook their heads, but did not answer. Don't you know that the undead army will be revived next? Wang Shuo asked in surprise. I know, but what does this undead bead have to do with the undead army? Wang Shuo smiled in surprise and didn't bother to explain. If you don't know what you are good at now, there will always be a time when you come to beg me for help. Wang Shuo sneered in his heart. Okay, I'll give you some samples first. After half a month, you can come directly to our territory to pick up the goods. Wang Shuo gave them 10 more bronze city bricks. The reason for the agreement in half a month was that on the one hand, he wanted to use the city wall bricks made during this period, and on the other hand, he wanted to attack Nanshanji. After discussing the matter, Wang Shuo returned to his room and rested for the night. The next day, Wang Shuo wanted to visit the mayor of Nanshanji. In front of the Lord's mansion, Wang Shuo asked Zhou Yuanjia and the guards to inform him of their intention. After the guard went in to report, he quickly came out. Not see. Wang Shuo looked incredulous, but everything seemed to be expected. At this moment, Ni Wu walked out of the gate. After seeing Wang Shuo, his eyes froze. Hey, the boy grows up very fast, Ni Wu said with a wicked smile. Our Iron Sword sect is short of a branch station. Your territory is not bad. If you join me, I can give you the position of a hall leader. Wang Shuo was shocked and dumbfounded. This is simply louder than Brunei. Being underestimated. If you join me, I can give you a team leader. Wang Shuo has already exceeded level 30, and the gap in levels is not that big. Moreover, with Gong on his side, Wang Shuo is not shy. You are looking for death, an angry look flashed across his face, and he quickly regained his composure. Then he smiled evilly and turned around to leave. That expression was like looking at a dead person. Wang Shuo looked at Ni Wu's back and felt irritated. He quickly sent a message to Guanji, the undercover agent of Iron Sword Sect. Has the Iron Sword Sect done anything big recently? Soon, Guanji replied, returning to the Lord, there is no such thing. It's just that Ni Wu served as the commander of the Dianjun in Nanshanji, and can command 100 soldiers in Nanshanji. Wang Shuo was silent in thought, and after a while, he told Guanji to continue to pay close attention to the movements of the entire Iron Sword sect. At this time, Wang Shuo noticed that a friend sent him a message. Brother Wang, have you noticed? The system towns have begun to collect taxes from our villages. This message from Zhang Yang made Wang Shuo stunned. Collect taxes? Have you handed it over? Wang Shuo frowned, a little confused. Hand it in. My heart is bleeding. It's 100 gold coins per person. I'm going to steal the money. Are you going to take this advantage? Isn't there nothing I can do? The other side has sent an elite force and will attack the village if they don't surrender. How can I defend it? When Wang Shuo heard this, he had an ominous premonition in his heart. Could it be that Ni Wu is planning to make a fuss about this matter? I haven't received any news yet, I wish you good luck. After saying that, Wang Shuo thought for a moment and must rush back as soon as possible to prevent something unexpected. Halfway through, Guanji sent another message. Lord, Ni Wu led the main force of Iron Sword sect and 100 Nanshan guards to head towards Wana village. Sure enough, this kid has no good intentions. After returning to his territory, Wang Shuo hurried to the ancient battlefield and recalled Ayub. At the same time, the order was ordered to prepare to meet the invading enemy. As for paying the head tax, it was just an excuse for the other party. Ni Wu's trip must be to occupy his own village. Not long after, Ni Wu led his people to Wana village. Lord Survival, my shelter in Crocodile territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 241. Suddenly hearing a noise outside the city wall, Wang Shuo secretly said, "Oops. Because I forgot to call the craftsmen who were building the city wall back to the village." Wang Shuo came to the city gate and took a look. Sure enough, Ni Wu had captured the craftsmen from Wana village. Ni Wu, let my people go, Wang Shuo stood on the city wall and said loudly. You can let them go if you want, 1,000 gold coins per person. Ni Wu rode a tall horse, with 100 level 60 guards standing behind him. In addition, there were thousands of Iron Sword sect members. 1,000 gold coins per person, almost 10,000 energy crystals. Wang Shuo thought about it and decided to save the person first. There is a great possibility of a war happening later. If one of his craftsmen is accidentally injured and the city wall is not built well, that will be the biggest trouble. As for whether Niwu's attack could be repelled, Wang Shuo was not worried at all. You keep your word. Are you doubting my credibility? Niwu snorted coldly. Wang Shuo handed 10,000 energy crystals to Bailey Liang and asked him to go out of the city to exchange hostages. Perhaps Niwu didn't take Wang Shuo seriously either, and the hostage exchange went very smoothly. In order to prevent the hostages from entering the city, Niwu took the opportunity to attack the city. Wang Shuo specially asked everyone to enter the city from the north gate at the back. Wait until Bailey Liang leaves with the hostages. Niwu said, Wang Shuo, I won't talk nonsense to you. Today I asked you to join Nanshan on the orders of the mayor. Aren't you here to collect taxes? Wang Shuo frowned and asked doubtfully. Humph, how could the mayor leave a power like yours alone? You have only two options now. If you don't surrender, I will have to eradicate you. Wang Shuo glanced at the people in the city, then looked back at his subordinates to compare their strengths. Could it be that this guy hasn't done any research? Do you still think that you are something that can be manipulated by others? Then he smiled slightly and said, Niwu, fortunately you are from outside the territory, but you are willing to be the mayor's lackey. Hearing this, Niwu Feng was about to explode with anger. Ever since he was a child, no one had ever dared to speak to him like this. You are looking for death. There is only one way you can go now. Niwu's eyes flashed fiercely and he ordered his men, attack. Wang Shuo was just trying to see how they planned to attack. 100 guards gave the answer. They immediately took out many wooden engineering equipment parts, and after simple assembly, a movable ladder about 15 meters high was formed. Ladder. Let me go. They also have such engineering equipment, which Wang Shuo did not expect. But fortunately there are only two of them, otherwise it would be really difficult to deal with. Seeing the ladder slowly approaching the city wall, Wang Shuo stopped being polite and decisively asked the archers to release arrows. 20 bronze ballistas on the city wall also fired spears one after another. The level of the guards is as high as level 60. The attacks of ordinary soldiers in Wana village cannot break through the defense at all, and only heavy weapons can cause damage to them. Seeing the ladder getting closer and closer, Wang Shuo was worried. If these 100 guards climbed onto the city wall, it would be really dangerous. Even for Wang Shuo, it would be difficult to fight against a single guard. Quickly, attack their ladders to prevent them from approaching, Ayub shouted. Since the tiger talisman was in Ayub's hands, Wang Shuo had no intention of returning it. After all, it was Ayub who led everyone in training and cooperated with each other. The collaboration efficiency must be better than Wang Shuo. Li Jiangguo also quickly organized manpower and placed 2 catapults in the city. It's just that the ladder is too close to the city wall, so it's not easy to aim. Soon, the ladder was still leaning against the city wall, and a large number of guards rushed up the city wall with spears and arrows. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 242. On the city wall, the Red Flame Army was ready for battle. Wang Shuo looked solemn, looked at the guards who jumped down, and rushed up quickly. Iron chain binding was launched, followed by another move flame breath. Wang Shuo knew that the opponent's level was much higher than his, so he did not hold back and directly launched a violent attack like a storm. -100. Fortunately, the damage was dealt. What Wang Shuo was most worried about was that he could not break the opponent's defense. Facing the thick-skinned guards, the main output of this battle was still the bronze crossbow cart. The crossbow cart on the city wall immediately aimed at the guards in front, and a large number of spears were fired. The guards who rushed up the city wall were directly shot down by the crossbow cart. Quick, destroy the opponent's cloud ladder. Li Jiangguo commanded 2 catapults and fired 2 shots at the cloud ladder. Although the target was hit, the cloud ladder was not directly destroyed. Several more guards rushed up the city wall, and Gongzheng, Ayub, and others immediately made up to prevent more people from rushing up. The battle became intense as soon as it started. As for the ordinary members of the Iron Sword Gate, they cowered behind the guards, avoiding the arrows and didn't dare to rush up. Niwu stood in the distance, hoping that this group of high-level guards could capture the city wall and open the city gate. As long as the city gate was broken, the battle would be stable. Wang Shuo naturally knew this, so he fought to the death. The biggest advantage of fighting in one village is the bonus of the Fountain of Life. The injured soldiers only need to retreat to a safe place and rest for a while to be fully revived. Although the battle was very fierce, there were almost no casualties in one village. As time went on, the second attack of the catapult was ready. Bang, bang. With 2 loud noises, the ladder was directly blown down. There were less than 10 guards left on the city wall. Wang Shuo was very calm. Quick, drive them all down. The 60-level guards would not die if they fell down from the 10-meter-high city wall. But there was no way to climb up. As long as these guards were driven down, this battle would be considered a staged victory. Another bronze spear shot over and shot the last guard off the city wall. So far, there were no soldiers from Nanshanji on the city wall. The Taijianmen gang members under the city wall were directly suppressed by the archers of Wana village and dared not move forward, and retreated directly out of range. Seeing that the battle was not going well, Niwu's face was very ugly. But he had no choice. Nanshanji didn't have many large-scale engineering equipment. He was able to ask Ling Guanru for 2 ladders, which was already a great favor to him. Moreover, he had not focused on investigating the situation in Wana village before, and had never expected that the other side would have such a tall city wall. Wang Shuo, if you have the ability, let's come down and fight. Being a coward is not a skill. Niwu frowned and shouted loudly. Wang Shuo stood on the tower and saw that the other party had no stamina to attack. The big stone hanging in his heart finally fell to the ground. Facing the other party's ridicule, Wang Shuo didn't care. Haha, Niwu, if you want to fight me, you can. While talking, Wang Shuo directly ordered Ayub to take the cavalry and quietly leave the city from the back door, intending to take them by surprise. After a while, the rumbling sound of horse hooves sounded. When Wang Shuo went to Nanshanji, Ayub had expanded the number of Golden Fire cavalry to 400. After the experience of the ancient battlefield, the average level reached 28, comparable to the elite of Taijianmen. At the same time, quite a number of soldiers also practiced Zhenyangjin and learned a technique to fight to a higher level. Hearing the abnormal vibration of the ground, the members of Taijianmen were surprised. After a few breaths, they saw a large group of cavalry whistling over. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 243. More than half of the cavalry were equipped with dazzling golden armor, which was very imposing. The members of the Iron Sword Gate usually only focused on improving their personal strength, and there was no teamwork at all. When they saw the cavalry rushing over, they were all shocked. Many people began to retreat. Although they did not collapse, no one wanted to be the first to face the cavalry charge. Don't retreat, everyone get together and resist the cavalry charge. Niwu did not expect that there would be such a cavalry in Wana village. More than 90 guards moved quickly, holding big swords in their hands and ready to fight. But the whole formation was not regular, the number of guards was too small, and several of them died. Many members of the Iron Sword Gate were still exposed on the periphery. Of course, Ayub also knew that it was unwise to confront the guards directly. So he specially chose a relatively weak place to break through. The entire Golden Fire cavalry, like a red-hot sword, inserted into the wax block and quickly chiseled a huge crack through the crowd of the iron sword gate. No one can stop such a torrent of steel. Wang Shuo stood on the tower with a smile on his face. With just one attack, the people of the Iron Sword Gate felt what it meant to be invincible. Even if they had soldiers as high as level 60, it would be useless. Contract defense. Ni Wu was still smart and knew how to fight against cavalry. However, his men had not been trained in formation. More than 3,000 people gathered together, like a group of sheep cuddling together, at the mercy of others. If they could form a circle, the Golden Fire Cavalry might not be able to break through their formation. If they used long spears to form a formation, the Golden Fire Cavalry would probably suffer heavy losses. However, they all used swords as weapons, and even had few shields, and they had no systematic training on how to fight against organized armies. Ni Wu was also anxious. Looking at the panicked crowd, everyone wanted to squeeze in the middle. The second charge came soon. Ayub also saw the dense crowd of the other side, and was worried that he could not break through, so he chose to insert from the edge. In this way, the other side was even more dense. Wang Shuo was overjoyed when he saw the people of Taijianmen, like mice caught in the rain, huddled together. He immediately ordered the soldiers of the crossbow battalion to shoot at the dense crowd. Bang, bang. The shells of the catapult exploded in the crowd, and dozens of people fell to the ground with serious injuries. The black iron spears covered the firepower, and the crowd fell like wheat being cut. After a round of attacks, Ni Wu finally panicked. He had experienced many battles, and this was the first time he felt so aggrieved. Dispersing the formation would only become straw for the cavalry to harvest, shrinking the formation would become a target for the other side's long-range troops, which was really a dilemma. Get on the horse and break through. In the end, he made up his mind and chose to retreat. After the battle reached this point, he had to accept this result. In the end, he fled Wana village with only more than 80 guards and hundreds of gang members. Back at the Nanshanji Taijianmen garrison, Ni Wu was furious. He had never suffered such a terrible defeat before. Wang Shuo, I will not be a human being unless I kill you. As soon as he finished speaking, the people from the Lord's mansion came, and Ling Guanru asked him to go to discuss matters. Ni Wu knew that this defeat would definitely reach Ling Guanru's ears, and he couldn't escape it. After venting for a while, he tidied his clothes and walked towards the Lord's mansion. Mr. Mayor, I failed to collect taxes in Wana village at this time, please punish me. Ni Wu was very humble and bowed to Ling Guanru.